And so I stopped looking for IS300s, and then I turned my way to Forester XTs. And lo and behold, my dad loved that because he's a very practical, just no-nonsense kind of guy. He didn't even think about the fact that here's a Subaru with a ridiculous hood scoop, a 2J, a 2.5 liter turbocharged flat 4-cylinder that stems from basically an STI. He just looked at the car itself and thought, hey, it's an SUV, it's a Subaru. This one was clearly to him a much better option. I had basically no resistance going down that path, and then out of nowhere, I hop on like I did every single hour of the day just to check if there was new ads or anything. And of course I hop on there one day, I think it was something like 25 or 28 kilometers away, at a place where I've been before, in an area where I've been before multiple times. There was a 2004 Subaru Forester XT. It was a silver color with the hood scoop, the EJ25, a little spoiler in the back, and the turbocharged all-wheel drive. I live in Southern Ontario, so every car I was looking for, even before the Subaru, before the Lexus, before anything, just in general, any good car that I could find was always, Toronto, Ottawa, Kingston, Brampton, Mississauga, Vaughan, Markham, North Bay, Sudbury even. I'd have to travel a full day for sure just to look at it. For me, that would have been, 2 hours there, 2 hours back, let alone all the time spent just looking at the car, test driving, all that jazz. To find one that was basically like a 20-minute drive away, I was over the moon and back, because here was a car that was extremely close to the car that I always wanted as a kid, that I had the money to buy, and that was 20 minutes away. As soon as I saw this ad, I ran over to my dad and I showed him, look dad, here's a Forester, 20 minutes away. It's where we've been multiple times. One of our friends lives just down the road from where the car was. I was like, dad, we gotta go see this. I don't care if you say no. We have to at least go look at it. So, we hop in, we go over and we take a look at this thing. Not gonna lie, in hindsight, it definitely wasn't in the best shape. I think, to be honest, driving to Toronto, Mississauga, Ottawa, all those places for that kind of thing, I think would have been better in my case. Even though they were further away, the cars themselves were in better condition than probably, I think, than the one that we were looking at was. It had its problems, none of which, by the way, I even considered. Among them were things like a crack in the moonroof, which, by the way, Forester XTs have a huge moonroof, at least that generation. I mean, all three of my cars I've had sunroofs or moonroofs, whatever you want to call them. This one had the biggest one by far. That was cracked. A couple of the front body trim pieces were kind of broken, cracked. I think one of the fog lights were broken. The keys were acting up and it was really weird. There was rust on every quarter panel. Not a crazy amount, but the problem was that it eventually would have rusted out anyways. AC was broken. The interior was pretty gross. I was gonna try and cover it for it a little bit, but it was nasty. A 12 or 13-year-old car at the time, 14 maybe even year old car. The guy had a dog. He used it to go to work every day, so obviously it's gonna have character. It's gonna be a little messy inside. What do you expect? So yeah, we went over, we took a look, had its issues, didn't care. Talked to the guy, obviously. Went for a little bit of a drive. Man, it's hot out here. I'm wearing black and it's like sun. I'm sitting in the shade, but it's hot, man. It is hot. We just kind of agreed, yep, we're gonna buy it. I think it was about $3,500 he was asking for it, so we bumped it down to about $3,000. I think we could have got it for a bit less now that I look back at it, but back then, whatever. He throws in a set of winter tires for us. They were like brand new at the time, so it was perfect. Before I was over the moon, this time, I'm over the friggin' sun. Now I could have a little more freedom than what I had before, so my voice is going. So now in my mind I was thinking, oh man, I'm gonna have so much more freedom now. I'm gonna have so much more fun now. Everyone's gonna like me more now. Eventually we get to the point where we do the paperwork, blah, 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 yada, yada. We give him the money. We sorted all that we could out that day. That makes sense. Everything that we could have sorted out that day, we sorted out. That makes more sense. We couldn't drive it home that day because we didn't have plates, because we didn't expect to go home with a car that day. So we left it with him for a couple days. My dad went out to pick it up just because I was working and I had no time and I actually couldn't pick it up that day. Went with my brother. My dad dropped off the car in the parking lot behind where I worked, actually. And it was kind of funny. He sent me a text saying where he left the key. I don't remember if it was right above the exhaust or on the other side, but what he did was he snuck the key just kind of onto the bumper. Like if this is the back of the car and this is the bumper here, basically what he did with the key, he reached under and just kind of set it down there. So, so obviously nobody would see it, but it wouldn't like go anywhere or anything like that. He just texted me, hey, the keys are hidden under the bumper. As soon as I got that text, I told a few of my friends at work, I was like, yo, my dad just pulled up with my new car. 3 or 4 of us, we just popped out the back and I saw it for the first time under my ownership. One of the best feelings was just looking outside, realizing that's my car. I'm gonna drive that home tonight by myself without any obligation. There's a lot of firsts in your life. First, anything. I'm not even gonna go through the list. There's first for everything. This was probably the only one, or at least the one that mattered the most to me at the time. I think it's fair to say that that drive home was probably, if not the best drive home that I've ever got. Yeah. That's pretty much the story of how I got my first car. I just realized the sun is like hitting half my face. I'm gonna move in a little more this way, even though this is slightly uncomfortable. I'm resting half of my butt on the wooden bench. Hopefully, you know, you found something in it, you know, whether it be a lesson, what to do, what not to do, the fact that an IS300 has a 2JZ, or if you just like listening to the story, that's perfect, that's great, that's what I wanted. Feel free to share your story down in the comments. The more details, the better. I love hearing stories about cars, whether it be first cars, second cars, interesting cars, an interesting day with a car, you know, a crash with a car, anything, any kind of, well, those are a little more sad, obviously. Just any kind of story that you can tell about cars, around cars, leave it in the comments. I'd love to read them. So yeah, there you go. That's it. That's the story of how I got my first car. That's gonna do it for me today. I am super thirsty. My throat is like giving out because I can't talk for long periods of time without my voice absolutely just leaving me. All right, that's it. Peace out. I'm done. See you later.